Good evening, students. Welcome to this day of third day of chapter one. And so we have Dhyanesh, Jyoti, Jash, Kasif, Mitesh, Bhai, Lakshmi, Shankaran, Alok, Shivlani. Good evening to all. And Jash has just made a confession that he has made a flowchart with help, outside help. Don't worry, Jash. It's a learning process. So let us start. So what I am doing, I'll be first starting with I had given you 3 flowcharts to make. I'll bring solution to flowchart number 1. We'll discuss that. And by the end of the batch, I'll share the second and third one also. During that time, you will find time to make the other flowcharts because we'll have a break also. And at the end of the session, we'll talk about the other 2 flowcharts. So we'll first start with the solution to first flowchart. Just give me a second. Yeah, I'll bring that solution. So the first question was to read the sum of, to create sum of 3 numbers fed. Now, see, I'm discussing the flowchart, the symbols. So the oval symbol that you see is basically used for start. So few symbols are most used in all the flowcharts. So just keep a tag of it. All your flowcharts must start with this start symbol. Please understand what you are depicting is a diagrammatic flow of the process in computer, how it is going to go about. And computer is a machine. So everything has to be instructed to it. So you have to say start. Then next is a square symbol that you see. There's a very important command, CAWL. The short form is clear all working locations. Clear all working locations is again an instruction given to system that whatever values, pre-fitted values for integers, for variables it has, make them null, 0. This is very important because there is a possibility that you are feeding, say, A, and there may be a pre-calculated value in system. So this is again a very important command, clear all working locations. You can always use a short form, CAWL, clear all working locations. Then, now, if you see, the question does not specify whether the numbers are fed by the user or read from stored data. So I'll tell you the difference. If you see the third command, read ABC means the numbers are there in data and they are being read, A, B, C, and then sum is being generated. If you see, all these 3 symbols are rectangles. So these are basically denoting process and printing the calculation of ABC. Now, ABC are values. They may be stored in database or they may be fed by the user in system. When you say sum is equal to A plus B plus C, so sum is again a variable defined. So A plus B plus C takes the value of this and print. Just remember this command, print sum. And again, at the end of the flowchart, you have to use the same oval symbol to end it. So start, CAWL, read ABC, sum A plus B plus C, print sum, end. Suppose the numbers are fed by user. This read means you're reading from a existing value that is already given in system. Suppose the values were fed by user, then it works like this. Same, start, clear all working locations. Here I am saying input. So input is giving instruction to the user. So you get the difference that the values of the number, when they are read from an existing set of values in stored, you read those values. But if the values are not from an existing set, you give instruction to the user. So you say input. So user is going to feed the numbers. So you get sum A, B, and C. Then print sum and end of this. So this is how a flowchart appears like. Now I've shared first one. I'll request you, you will have time. you can continue with the second and third one, and end of the class we'll see the solutions. So because we are, I don't know exact number how many we are, but we are in hundreds, so we cannot have a one-to-one check. So I'll request you to do ethical checking at your end. So I've just zoomed out. So this is the whole flowchart for summation of three numbers which are being fed by the user. The other parameter can be, you can read the same from an existing value. So just read the question how it is framed. If it says user is giving input, you use input command. If the question says that the numbers are to be read from database or stored number, there's an indication in the question, then you read from that. So this is how you are working on that. Okay. So first flowchart I have shared. Let us go to our PPT where we left day before yesterday, and then we'll continue. Yeah. So we wanted to discuss this. Okay. So this MCQ was there at the end of the PPT. So this I have sent you as MCQ for the day. So we'll do it as we end the come to the end of the session. Okay. This is starting for today. Here is what we want to talk about: risk and controls for specific business process. Just give me a second. Just some setting has to be done. Okay. Now, risk and controls for specific business processes. Most of the discussion today we are going to have from the module itself. The flowcharts, the detailed description given in the module, it's very well drafted. Okay, let us start the topic. Let us see if you have any questions. So good evening to all. Yeah, you can. No, Pranav, it has to be made top down. Please understand, it's top down. Don't make it horizontal. Yeah. Yes, Josh. So in which language we should use this practice? Oh, okay. So Kanakharini has a question, but okay, leave that. It's not very. Yeah, Dhane, that's a good idea, Dhanish. In fact, I'll do that. I think we never realized that this can be done. We'll upload the flowchart. So thank you, Dhanesh, for this. What I'll do, I'll upload all these solutions. I'll send it to the institute. They will upload. Great. Thank you, Dhanesh. I never got this idea. It could have been done earlier also. Thanks for this. Sharon Krishnan, good evening. Yeah. Okay. Anand, good evening. So good evening to all of you. Let us start for today. This is the whole chapter we are talking about. So now we are here as specific business process and controls relating to those. We have talked about the flowcharts. Okay. Then now risk controls to specific business process, the topic for today. Again, when we have the break today, I'll request you to keep your questions ready for chapter 1. So during the break, please post all your questions to the query box so that after the break, when we meet, today's break, when we meet, after that, I'll answer all your queries from previous 2 sessions and then we will continue. Okay. Now, this is very, very, very important. Suitable controls should be implemented to meet the requirements of control objectives. These controls can be manual, automated, semi-automated, provided the risk is mitigated. Based on the scenario, they can be preventive, corrective, or preventive, detective, and corrective. We have already tried to create a difference between these controls. Preventive controls prevent risk from actualizing, the risk from coming. Detective controls detect the risk as it comes, and corrective controls facilitate the correction. In computer system, control should be checked at all three levels. That includes configuration, master, and transaction level. Now, this understanding of configuration, master, and transaction is very, very important. As we go ahead, I'll give you more examples for an understanding purpose. Configuration is exactly what. So what I'm doing, I told you that we'll have something called as storyboards. So what I'm doing, like you have your chapter 5 core banking system. So I'm taking that example to understand what exactly configuration is means to all of us. Say, if you see in last 5 years, Reserve Bank of India has been giving special banking licenses, categories of bank. In fact, in your bank, in accounts, probably you have read, there is something called as a public sector bank, a private sector bank. There is a concept of, sorry, regional or rural bank. So all these things are there. Now, over last 5 years, Reserve Bank of India has given very special license called something called as a payment bank, something called as a small bank. You see, lot of small bank licenses have been issued. Now, what is this categorization? What does it mean? And how it is relevant for our discussion? So we are doing that. Again, many of you talked about that, what we need to note. So these examples you need to note. Okay, what everything is there. You have the module, you have the PowerPoint presentation, you have the discussion we are having, and what value addition I expect from all of you in your answers in examination is the examples. Okay, so I'm sharing this example for configuration, exactly what it means. Now, one of the most used banking software in Indian banking industry is Finacle. Finacle is used by most of the public sector bank, and lot of RRBs are also using Finacle, and small banks are also using Finacle. Now, imagine Finacle. So for a bank of size of say Punjab National Bank or Bank of India or Central Bank of India, they are big size bank. But Reserve Bank of India has given loan licenses for a small bank also. So there has to be some difference. So the core difference would be what exactly small bank can do. Now, just for the sake of discussion, please understand, Government of India is doing a lot of emphasis on increasing the penetration of regulated banking deep inside India. Regulated banking means there must not be unregulated banking. Like you have this, many times there are money lenders in villages with they charge exorbitant rate of interest. So Government of India wants that each Indian citizen, they must have access to bank. Okay. So to this very special category of licenses have been issued, small banks. So small bank means they need not have large infrastructure. Say small bank may be restricted that they cannot fund large infrastructure projects. Small bank can be restricted that they cannot fund anyone beyond say 5 crore, 10 crore of loan. So these are small bank. Now, what is the relevance of the example? So you have Punjab National Bank, Bank of India, Central Bank of India. These are big banks, and there are many small banks which have been given licenses. All these big banks are also using Finacle, and small bank is also going to use Finacle. Now comes the word configuration. Now with this example, so you must visualize big banks and small bank. Let me read the definition and we'll apply this definition to this bank on configuration settings. So let us read. Configuration refers to way a software system is set up. Configuration is a methodical process of defining options that are provided. Now just read what I've shared. So when I say I'm going to configure Finacle for small bank, configure Finacle for large bank, Finacle is going to charge different prices to both. Say for only for example, suppose Finacle is 10 crores for large bank, Finacle cannot charge 10 crores to a small bank because the requirement of small bank will be reduced. The configuration setting options will be reduced. So for a small bank, they need not need, say, for example, a module called as infrastructure financing, because small banks RBI license does not allow small bank to go for infrastructure financing. That exactly is what you call as configuration settings. If at the top I have made it clear. Okay, let us read it again. So when any software is installed, values for various parameters should be set up, configured as per policy. So suppose I am a small bank, I cannot have a setup for infrastructure financing. That you call as configuration setting. So suppose I go to the previous slide and I want you to answer a question. It's a learning process. Please understand, I told you that this subject is absolutely practical. Not a single word is theory. So suppose I ask you that configuration, master and transaction, which of the three, with the example I have given to you, which of the three will be the first to be defined for any software? Which of the three will be first to be defined for any software? You have to say C for configuration, M for master, T for transaction. Based on the example, the question we have created is that suppose you imagine a software, you are setting up a software. So the options are to define configuration, to define master, and to define transaction. Which will be defined first? So you have to say whether C, M, or T. Let us go ahead. Now, this mapping may involve accounts to front-end transaction like purchase and sale. So the nature of those, control on parameters, creation of customer type. See, so in a small bank setup, you will not have a customer type called as infrastructure borrower. Then vendor type, year-end processes, how you are going to do year-end processes. Please understand. Again, let us take bank as an example. It is going to be a storyboard example. You can remember here. You can remember in other chapters as well as in chapter 5. It is part of the syllabus. I always say that we must imagine all the 5 chapters together. Please understand, it is going to be a great help. And that is why I tell you that this example is relevant here also and there also. Okay, that is going to reduce the number of examples you need to remember. So year-end processes, what exactly is year-end processes like in bank? They've got many year-end processes, including say charging minimum balance charges, ledger folio charges. So there are year-end charges that the bankers debit to customer account. So those year-end processes. Then user activation and deactivation. Who are going to be the user? What shall be the user privileges? Again, a question for you. We have talked of internal control. We have talked of controls. We have talked of preventive, detective, and corrective. I am multiplying the concept of controls and multiplying the same with user activation. So I am asking a question. You have to say yes or no. Okay, I'm asking a question. You have to say yes or no. Our topic heading is user access privileges, configuration, and its management. Okay, so suppose a cashier creates a voucher. Cashier creates a voucher. Can the cashier alter, modify the voucher? Suppose a person as designated as a cashier in system, he or she has created a voucher. Can that individual alter the voucher also? You have to say yes, no. Okay, then password management. I think most of you must be doing mobile banking, internet banking. Every 3 months you have to change password. Then there is complicated password. Password must have a special symbol, a capital letter, a small letter, a numeric. That is password management, including the requirement to change password in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. So all this becomes part of the configuration setting of the software. Then masters. So once configuration is built, once you have defined, so basically configuration is like the boundary. This is my boundary. Now I'll start with defining my master. So master refer to the various parameters to be set up like purchase, sale, inventory, finance. These drives how the software will process the related transaction. Like let us take, I think you have all gone through your IT training, advanced training, also IT training you have gone through. Within IT training or probably in your articleship also, you all are using Tally. Now, after GST being there, 1st July 2017, one of the key important aspect that has become is to be able to create your masters properly, more specifically vendor masters. So when you configure your vendor masters properly, it ensures that the GST returns generated in system are proper. When I say vendor master creation has to be proper. What I mean, the details of vendor have to be put correctly. Like in GST, I think GST is part of the syllabus. Kindly say yes or no. GST, yes, no. I think it must be your syllabus also. There are multiple type of GST registration. So I can be a regular GST payer. I can pay GST under compounding. I am an entity that is in SEZ, Special Economic Zone. So I may be subject to separate categorization of GST. So suppose I'm a company and I'm buying goods from all these different categories of vendor. So I have to configure that properly. Then customer master, same applies to the customer to whom I am selling. My customers can be B2B. Please understand B2B is a word you are going to use in chapter 4, business to business. Then B2C, business to consumer. The nature of customer. What is business to business consumer is that I am owner of a business. I am selling a product to a person who is going to buy the product, and buyer of the product is not going to consume, but buyer of the product is going to use it for manufacturing, use it for trading for its business. So buyer of my product when is going to do business based on my product. My product will be raw material for the buyer. My product can be finished goods for trading purpose of the buyer. Then I call it as B2B customer. So when I have B2B customer, my GST billing has to be proper. So that configuration has to be proper. Next is material master. Very, very, very important. In fact, when we are going to talk about ERP in chapter 2, we are going to talk a lot on material master management. It's one of the phenomenal things that can be done. So material master, we already had a question on this material master. I talked about the concept of maximum level, minimum level, reorder level, and many of you brought a new word that I did not ask to you, danger level of stock. So material master, what is the maximum level, minimum level, reorder level, danger level, ROQ, EOQ of the quantity, that all definition goes to the inventory master. Then because now we are in a GST regime, we also say that if this material is my raw material, what is the rate of taxation on this? All these configurations are in master. Then employee master. Again, we have already taken an example on employee master. We talked about 4 fields in an employee master: name, date of birth, salary, and address. Configuring this properly is important. We asked a question on that of the 4 fields, once they are created, which of the field is non-editable, which will never be edited? So most of you answered correctly. That was date of birth. So this configuration is what you call as master configuration. Then in master configuration, in vendor master, you can say credit period, bank details. I request all of you to add GST detail. Please add GST because GST has become phenomenally important. Those of you who are going into articleship, those who are going to go into articleship in future, and you get a chance to prepare GST returns. One of the problems that come is that the GST returns are not properly made because the customer and vendor GST data is not properly updated in system. So I request all of you to add this GST detail. Okay. So in GST detail, what you are going to add? The GST number of the customer and the type of GST registration the customer has. Type of GST registration, whether the individual is regular, compounding, SEZ. You have all read this. Please understand. Ours is a king subject. I am telling you nothing that is new. You have already read all the subjects, all topics that I am talking about, all words you are familiar with. Okay. Then customer master, same. Credit limit, bill to address, ship to address. Again, add GST details. Material master, material type, description, unit of measurement. Then we have added at least 4 parameters. The levels of material, the ROQ, EOQ of the material. Employee master, employee name, designation, salary, add date of birth also. So these are configured in masters. Then transactions we are going to do from the module. So most of our discussion today will be from the module itself. Before that, let me go to the queries you might have put. Oh, Kanakarini. No issues. Don't feel sorry. Yeah. Oh, okay. See, great. So you all get full marks for configurations and very good. So just MCT. No, not MCT. CMT. So it is configuration first, master second, and then transaction. So just had correct then Okay, just no, yes. So this e-chocolate has to go to just only one correct answer. I'm slightly surprised, but it's a learning process. So first configuration, then master, then transaction. Okay, good. Then no, most of you have said correct answer. Cashier creates a cash voucher. She must not be able to alter, modify. Why? Because it is against the concept of internal control. See, everything merges. That is what you need to learn. Vinay, you can say. Good. Very good. Yes. GST, yes. Good. No, Prabhat, cashier must not alter. Even if there is an error, he or she must not alter because it is against the concept of internal control. Maker must not be checker. That is. So never. We are okay, Krupti. Okay. Om, good evening. Yeah. So that is configuration and master. Now, most of our discussion today is from the module. So let us go to the module. I'm opening that. Just give me a second. Okay. Now, so we are on transactions. So transaction refers to actual transaction entered through the menus and functions in an application software through which modules are initiated, authorized, or approved. For example, sales, purchase, and multiple transactions. Implementation or review of specific business process can be done from risk or control perspective. So what now you're going to look at that a transaction suppose is going to be entered in system. So what are the key parameters to consider in those transactions? So you already had the configurations and master defined. Now we are looking from the transactions point. And what are the aspects that we are looking for? The risk or controls perspective. Okay. So first is P2P procure, purchase to procure. Now, we have talked about this. We have taken an example. Let us see what the chart given in the module talks about. Now, again, see what I want. There are two columns to the chart, risk and control objective. Okay. This is the risk and that is a control objective. We probably may add some example, some learning. So you can have a third column or for possible solution, possible example, something that we need can add value to this answer. Okay. So what is the risk? Risk is unauthorized changes to supplier master file. Now, what I basically want that we must be able to understand the impact of the risk. See, the value addition that we are going to give in today's discussion is the impact. Okay. What it will mean. Okay. Let us see. Or what I'll do. Okay. What I'll do for this table, I'll talk about impact for each of the risks. In the subsequent tables, I'll ask you to write in the chat so that it becomes a learning process. It doesn't become a monologue, it becomes a dialogue. Okay, so we can discuss that. So for first chart, I'll share the impact. From the second chart, I'll expect you be able to write the impact. So because see, once you understand the impact, the remembrance will be easy. Just reading the chart is not going to help, but remembering, understanding the impact will make the learning process better and remembering process easier. That is how I read it. Okay, let us talk about. So what is our topic heading? P2P, the risk and control objective. So first, let us talk about the risk. Unauthorized changes to supplier master file. Now, unauthorized changes to supplier master file. Supplier master file means supplier master. Now, just imagine vendor master we talked about. So I'm sharing this. Please understand, you have read a word in your audit called as professional skepticism. So professional skepticism is basically trying to evaluate what are the worst case possibilities, or trying to see if this happens, what can be the impact of it, the various impacts. So we are trying to bring, you can always add beyond what we have talked about, so that you're open to share your learning also. So let us see, I'll be sharing 1, 2 for each, and then you can add also. Unauthorized changes to supplier master file. Now just see, what were the parameters field we talked about in supplier master file? Credit limit, the details, and one thing I wanted you to add was GST detail. Just understand that if someone is able to change the parameters, say for example credit. Now the original defined credit period is 90 days. Okay. 90 days means what? 90 days from say date of supply, we are going to make payment. So if I receive the goods today, my due amount is after 90 days. Someone makes it 30 days. What happens? Because someone has changed the payment period in system 30 days, and I have made a 1 crore rupee purchase from the supplier. So I have to, and my system is a integrated system, joined together system. So by the end of 30th day, my cash flow will say that I have to make payment to this vendor. It is going to ping me. It is going to give a red warning that this vendor's payment is due. So my cash management can go wrong. That is, then suppose someone changes the GST detail. Say for example, the supplier is a regular GST vendor, and someone changes it to say compound GST vendor. Disaster. So that is the impact it is going to have. So please understand. Okay. Then what is the control objective? That only valid changes are made to supplier master file. That means what? You know what it means? That means that there has to be a master change process. You can note this down. It's a very important word. The solution to this set of risks is a master change process. What is a master change process? Take this as an example. Say, for example, the supplier from whom you are buying the goods, that supplier till yesterday was a partnership firm, and today it becomes a private limited company. The supplier was a partnership firm, and today it has become a private limited company. I want you to answer, will this require change in master? Please listen to the question carefully. The supplier till yesterday was a partnership firm. It has converted today itself to a private limited company. My question to you is, you say yes, no, only this much. Would this require change in master of the supplier as maintained by me? Okay. Then, so what is the control? That valid changes need to be documented and made. Then all valid changes to supplier master are not inputted. Now just see how it is going so beautifully. First it says you want to change, have a change management process. Then you need to ensure that all the changes to be made are made. That is again important. If changes that are to be made are not made, this is a disaster. Just take example that till yesterday, your credit period understanding with customer was 30 days. You negotiated and asked, got an approval from the customer that from supplies that you receive from today and onward, the credit period will be 60 days. It's a valid change. It has to be updated. Suppose you forget it. It will not lead to loss of business, but it will again hit your cash flow because now you'll have to pay 30 days, but supplier is already agreed for 60 days. Very important. Next. Now changes. So see how beautiful it is going. Huh? Unauthorized changes, change management process. Valid change must be done. Now someone is updating, someone doing a change, but then he does a change that is incorrect. Changes to supplier master file are not correct. So it has to be ensured that changes to supplier master file are accurate. Against point number 3, add a line. You kindly add that whenever changes are made to supplier master file, there has to be a process of checking the accuracy, correctness of the changes made. जब भी supplier master file में change करेंगे, एक तरीका होना चाहिए जिससे कि उस परिवर्तन की सत्यता को प्रमाणित किया जा सके. You must be able to do it. Absolutely fantastic. So unauthorized changes, valid changes, changes to be done correctly. Then Changes to supplier master file are delayed. So not timely done. So delay, the same example, the supplier has allowed you extra credit of 30 days you, from today, and you forget and you do it 3 months ahead. You lose that benefit of extended credit period. Then supplier master file is not up to date. So changes are not up to date. System access to maintain vendor masters have not been restricted to authorized user. This is a disaster. Please understand, this is a disaster. This basically means when we talked about configuration, we talked about user management. So user management is not proper. Everyone has been given access to everyone, or take it as a simple word. The person who is authorized, she must be given access. Not all person must have access. That is very, very, very important. So that is the control objective you need to achieve. System access to maintain vendor has to be restricted to authorized user. This is part one regarding the master configuration. Now on procure to pay, transaction related issues. So for each of the discussion, there are two tables. So these two tables I am going to discuss in thorough details. Okay. And others, then I'm going to pick points which I found or which need more discussion. Okay. So the question in exam could be that procure to pay, what are the risk and controls at master level and what are the risk and controls at transaction level? Right now, the discussion was master level, the configuration setting. Now we are going down, a step down, transaction level. Let us see. Okay. So disaster first one. Transaction. Unauthorized purchase requisitions are ordered. Now, please recall the discussion we had on day one. I'm doing it again so that you can, someone did talk about someone had a question, audit trail. So take this as an example of an audit trail. Purchase voucher, you have purchased something. Before you purchase, you give order to the vendor. So you have purchase order. Before you give purchase order, you have vendor comparison. That is called as a comparative statement. Vendor comparison of what? Quotations given by the vendor. So you have quotations of the vendor. Then you have the quotations of the vendor. You have called quotations because you required some product. So you had something called as a purchase requisition or indent, stores indent. So purchase requisition is generated by the purchase department, sent to the vendors that these items are needed. Before purchase requisition is there, you can have an indent. Indent is request by the consuming department, production department, stores department that this item is required. When does that stores department request purchase of the item? When the inventory level of that item reaches reorder level. Imagine where you started from. So let us do this way. So materials management master, you define reorder level. As soon as this item's reorder level is hit, it generates an indent. Indent means request for purchase. That request for purchase is given to purchase department. Purchase department does its analysis, converts it into purchase requisition. Purchase requisition, it can send to vendors. Request that please send, this is the item needed, please send the quotations. Vendors gives the quotation. Quotations means the vendor tells this is the product, this is our price, these are our terms of payment, terms of delivery, these are the taxation. These are called as quotation by the vendors. You receive the quotation by the vendor, you generate comparative, which is the best suited vendor. The comparative is generated, the best vendor gets the order that you call as purchase order and the vendor supplies. That is the whole audit trail. In this audit trail, the question is unauthorized purchase requisitions are ordered. Now, please understand this word unauthorized talks about fraud, possibility of collusion, that the unauthorized means the item is not needed, still it is being ordered. So it is indicative of fraud. It is indicative of collusion between the purchase department and vendor because this is not needed, still the order is being generated. It can be collusion of the production department with the vendor that you generate an unauthorized, not needed purchase requisition. Okay. Then purchase orders are placed only for approved requisition. Now this is a control. Please understand that we need to add. So what you need to add is that that this also indicates that probably some more improvement is needed in system. The definitions of reorder level, the definitions of authorizations have to be created appropriately, because purchase requisition is generated much earlier, purchase order is generated much later. Between that, there are 4 more documents which are generated. Okay. So it's a learning process. So unauthorized purchase requisitions are generated, are ordered. That means there was a collusion. Okay. So that collusion need to be controlled. So you need better controls on purchase order release. That is. Then, then point number 2, purchase orders are not entered correctly in system. Now, please understand that if my system is integrated, the error in point 2 is not going to be generated, because integrated system purchase orders will be generated automatically. Okay. It's a linked process. So there is no question of incorrect purchase order being generated. The possibility is that someone makes a purchase order that is incorrect, but system is not going to generate a incorrect purchase order for an integrated system. Still, the point is there. Let us consider that it's a manual process. The entity where the purchase order is generated, it may be manually processing. So the chance is there. Then what is the control? There has to be accuracy of purchase order. Again, that means what? That there has to be maker and checker. So person who has created purchase order, the approver of purchase order has to be different person, so that the internal control automatically works. Okay. Purchase order issued are not input and process. Again, please understand, if it's an integrated system, interlinked system, this question doesn't arise. It's already in system. It is generated from system. So it is not going to happen in an integrated system, a linked system, but there's a chance that it's a manual system. Then it's an error, because if your purchase order does not go into system, when the vendor makes a supply, the stores person will not know what to do, because purchase order is not appearing in system. He's going to call the purchase department. Sir, these goods have come. Did you order it? Because purchase order is not visible. So those issues are going to come. So what has to be ensured? If the process is manual, then there has to be a check that all purchase order generated are entered into system. Amounts are posted in AP for goods or services not received. Yes, this is again a fraud, indicator of fraud. Again, understand, if it's an integrated system, this issue doesn't arise, because you already have credit limit, the due date is configured in system. As soon as the purchase order is as soon as the goods are received, they are received under a cover of invoice. So that purchase invoice, when it is entered into system, in an integrated system, you know what happens when I enter a purchase invoice in integrated system? As soon as I go for purchase and write the vendor's name, the system lists, okay, so this A vendor, these are the purchase order that you have issued. So what I do, I only pick the purchase order. Automatically, my purchase invoice is created in system. So this is not going to happen in integrated system, but chance of manual system is there. That error can happen. So if this error happens, what happens? The payments are delayed. The business relationship is hit. So you need to ensure that the amounts are posted correctly. Then amount posted are not calculated. Again, manual system. They need to be a recheck of all entries regarding which are done in system. Then amount for goods or services received are not input and processed in accounts payable. Again, so these are more of clerical errors. So when you see these clerical errors, that means there has to be recheck process in system whether these have been correctly entered or not. Amounts for goods services received are recorded in wrong period. Yes, this is important. You will have to answer this question. Okay. Many of you said it's a learning thing. See, my idea is that the practicality has to be brought. So this is basically to the learning process. The question I'll put now, let me read it again. Amounts for goods or services received are recorded in wrong period. Now, if you record in wrong period, which aspect of substantive procedure is being hit in audit? If it is recorded in wrong period, which aspect of substantive procedure in audit is hit? I told you ours is a king subject. Whatever you read has to be applied. Nothing has to be relearned. Okay. Now, so what has to be ensured? It has to be recorded. Again, a clerical issue. Then accounts payable amounts are adjusted based on unacceptable reasons. Clerical, proper reasons have to be created. say quality of the goods like that. Credit note and other adjustment are not accurately calculated, clerical, all valid credit notes. Yeah, now they see, please understand, post GST, credit note and debit note accounting has become very critical, because if your supplier or customer is subject to GST, within GST framework, credit note is both credit and debit note could be source of GST credit and GST reversal. So please understand, not now today when you look to the word credit note or debit note, always multiply the impact it is going to have on your GST compliance or any statutory compliance per se. GST is very specific, because any vendor, we are talking of vendors. So if it is a credit note, debit note, the GST is going to be impacted. So whenever you read the word GST, please understand that practically you need to understand the impact it may have on your GST compliances also. It is mechanical, it is clerical, the error is clerical, but it has a statutory impact also. So credit notes and other adjustments are not accurately calculated, recorded. It can have a GST impact. Again, clerical, need to be done thoroughly. Credit notes and other adjustment are recorded in wrong period. Same issue of substantive, which aspect of substantive I am looking at. Disbursement are made for goods and services that have not been received. Fraud. So it's again a fraud. Disbursement are distributed to unauthorized suppliers. Fraud. Disbursements are not accurately calculated, recorded. Fraud. All disbursement not recorded. It's a clerical accounting issue. So disbursement, again, please understand, if my system is interlinked, integrated, these issues don't come. They are basically coming from a manual system. Then disbursement are recorded for an inappropriate period. Again, an accounting issue. Adjustment to inventory prices or quantities are not recorded promptly and not done in appropriate period. Accounting issue. System access to proper process transaction has not been restricted. Configuration issue. Access issue. So this is first part, procure to pay. We did intentionally in detail. I put many questions. Let us see how you have answered. Krupti, it is at your end. Okay. Yeah, so there was a question by Kujema. The name I'm able to read that one only. You did say it is different, but I cannot recall that. Meaning of married is multiple, many. Being, yeah. Yes. Questioning mind. Good. Then required. Yes, yes. So you all said correctly. There will be changes in mass. Now, could you guess what the change would be? Yes is the correct answer. Change in master. Type, yes, business organization. So the name will change. Then GST registration will also change. The old registration number will be for partnership firm. The new will be for a private limited company. Great. Yeah, Hiral. So good. There would there be a risk on configuration level? There would be, but that you are going. That is a very means. See, discussing that is not part of the syllabus. And when you talk of risk and control set configuration, you basically you know what you are doing. You have bought the software and it is being implemented. So you have a implementation consultant. I'll be talking about that. It's part of a syllabus. It's part of that discussion we did. Business process automation. Point number 5, the business process consultant. So because you are going to engage a business process consultant for implementing, that issue is reduced. Means the issue is there. The risk is there for configuration level also. But because an expert you are going to engage, so the materiality of that is reduced. But if you ask me, does it exist or not exist? The answer is configuration level risk exist. Okay. Yeah. So I am so happy. So most of you have answered correctly. Cutoff procedure. Perfect. So Shreya adds income expenditure accounting. Yes. Cutoff was the word I am looking for. So most of you have answered correctly. So that is procure to pay, the purchase cycle. Now the second one. Again, these two, procure to pay and order to cash, again, we are going to do in very detail, because you find mention in chapter 1 at more than one point, and this P2P and O2C cycle are referred in other chapters also. So we are going to do this very thoroughly. So O2C also I'm going to do. And for any business that you consider, P2P and O2C cycle cover more than 60% of all business operations. So that is why they are critical also. So order to cash. Now the customer side. O2C is a set of business processes that involve receiving and fulfilling customer requests for goods or services. It is a set of business processes that involve receiving, fulfilling customer requests for goods or services. Yeah. So you get customer order, order fulfillment, delivery note, invoicing, collection, and accounting. Now, so customer order. So I'm putting this question back to you. Suppose you want to buy something. You want to buy say a cosmetic. Okay. And there are multiple vendors available. So what you have to say in the chat, how many ways are there you can place your order? Okay. So what I expect you to answer is that when you want to buy, say, a cosmetic product, I'm not interested in from whom you buy. That is not the question. From whomsoever you buy, there has to be multiple ways of placing that order. So I want you to list down the way you can place order to your vendor who is going to supply you the cosmetic product. Okay. Now let us go ahead. So O2C, it depicts the flowchart given, talks about the customer order, the order fulfillment, the delivery note, invoicing, collection, and accounting. Let us see the risk and control. So starting with the first part, that is risk to master. Okay. Good. So before we continue, you have already we have got the answer from Bala Vinodini. You can order online. You can direct purchase. Yes. Okay. Good. Let me just refresh if more people have answered. Yeah. Good. Direct from shop, online from Amazon, Flipkart. Physically go and purchase. Physically online, email, shopping website. Online order on shop, order, return order. We can order it online, sir. May purchase it by going physically at shop and online. So there are multiple ways you can place your order. Yeah. The snack seller I talked about, they collected orders online through Google Form and then supplied and made huge business in 1 month post COVID. Okay. So order to cash. So this was basically creating that idea that what exactly is meant when I say, what is the meaning when I talk about this ordering? Okay. Now, so master. Now again, critical. We'll try to discuss this in detail because this aspect is O2C and P2P are coming in multiple locations in the whole module. Okay. Whole paper that we are talking about. The customer master file is not maintained properly and information is not accurate. Now, please understand, the same issue was with the vendor. Okay. Here it is coming with the customer also. Now, what is the risk? So now this you answer me. Okay, I leave this to you. Multiply by professional skepticism. Imagine the worst possibilities that if your customer file is not maintained properly, what possible losses entity may be subject to. The customer file has to be maintained properly. That is good. What we are doing a impact analysis. Put that. Okay. Let me go ahead. That invalid changes are made to customer master file. Yes. The changes we have talked about. Say credit period. Suppose the original credit period in customer master file is 30 days and someone unauthorizedly makes it 60 days. That means what? Your cash flow, in your mind, you're calculating cash flow at the end of 30 days of supply. But actually the customer, because the data has been changed in the master, when you print the invoice, in invoice, it goes as 60 days. So customer calculates, I have to pay after 60 days. So it's a big cash flow disaster that I am going to be taken about. So only valid changes need to be made. All all valid changes to customer master file are not input and process. Again, all changes we have talked about that example of in vendor master. So same uh, mirror image you can create for customers. So what is the solution? All valid changes need to be made. Changes to customer master file are not accurate. Inaccuracy in changes. So we have talked about that. Changes have to be accurate and there has to be a recheck process. So please understand, just keep that in top of your mind. At the end of all this risk and control, always write this one line. What line I want you to write? That if any update or changes are made to any master file, those changes, updates need to be rechecked. So please write at the bottom of the table that whatever updates are made to master file, they have to be rechecked. Now, when I say rechecked means what? So say, for example, suppose customer GST has changed. Someone has updated. Now, I am going to recheck. So suppose I am going to recheck, I require evidence of the change. So when I say whatever updates are made in customer master or in previous discussion vendor master, the recheck has to be through a valid document, valid evidence justifying, substantiating the change which has been made. So I'll request you all to write at the end of this tables relating to master, all tables, that any change update in master that is made has to be rechecked with substantial evidence by a third person, an independent person who is not involved in that making of the changes. Then you will ensure the accuracy goes very, very high. So all valid changes to customer file not input, they need to be properly input. Changes to customer master file are not accurate. They have to be accurate. See, when I say there has to be recheck, the accuracy will be built as a part of audit process. Changes to customer master file are not processed in timely manner. This is going to ensure that it is processed in timely manner. Okay. Then customer master file data is not up to date and relevant. It has to be up to date and relevant. And system access. So if you read this one and the vendor P2P, so they're basically mirror images. The issues are same. There it was supplier, it is customer. That you can remember the two tables parallelly. That is the point I want to make. If you just read those two tables keeping side by side, you'll understand the issues are same. One relates to supplier, other relates to customer. That is okay. So I had asked the question, I seek the answer, and then we'll go to the transaction. Yes. So risk when customer master file is not maintained properly. Fictitious customer. No, Karthik, you cannot make a payment to customer. You are going to receive payment from customer. So there's a gap. Chance of bad date. That is good. Okay. Risk of getting at higher rate. No. Okay. Financial fraud accepted. Yeah. Vedika. The availability of GST credit to your buyer, B2B. Good. Yes, we could miss payment from customer. A bad debt may be created. Balance affected. Risk is risk. It affects of threat. Okay. Actual amount to be received from customer can be different. Yes. Again, we see customer is the one who is going to pay us. So you're not going to pay to customer. Wrong measure, Piyush. That is accepted. Incorrect sale value. We may not know the correct debtors. Credit limit, yes. Dhanesh, you're selling. So yeah, credit limit may not be available by the customer. Yes. Mismatch. Bad relation, yes. Debt aging report, yes. And just understand, if I want to do fraud, you know what I do? I change the delivery address. Everything remains the same. The delivery address I change. The goods are delivered to a wrong person. So there are multiple things that are going to come. Great. Yes, sales, inflated sales. Great. So that is the risk that we are looking from the master configuration for order to cash. Then transactions. Okay. So again, transactions, those which relate to say concept, internal control, system parameters, I'm going to talk about those which will be clerical. I'll just say clerical, and the solutions will be ensuring that it is done correctly. So orders are processed exceeding customer credit limits without approval. Now, please understand, uh, this line has a huge impact. Please understand, when you read a risk, you must be able to go to the root cause. Okay. So again, what I'm doing, I'm leaving this to you. I want to improve your understanding. See, our subject is practical, that I've already told you. This imagination, once you start imagining where the things are coming from, it is going to be easy. In many of you, I think day one also someone asked how to remember in exam. So to me, you need not remember, you need to understand. So understanding improves when you go to the root cause analysis. Why? So I'm asking you the first one. Okay. Orders are processed exceeding customer credit limits without approval. You have to tell me what is the flaw. सिस्टम में गलती क्या है जब ऐसा हुआ. Why does this risk arise? What is the system flaw? Okay, then once you answer, we'll discuss. So what is the control objective? Orders has to be processed within credit limit. Okay. Orders are not approved by management as to prices and terms of sale. Again, see, please understand, when this happens, so this is an indicator of a system flaw again. Okay. So this again indicates a system flaw. So with the first one, I'll come back to this again. We are reading the control objective, and when you answer the first one, we'll discuss all this together. First 2 points. Orders are approved by management as to prices and terms of sale. Good. Then order and cancellation of orders are not input accurately. Yes. So cancellation, customer has cancelled, you have not, like you order online. So multiple places, multiple stages you can place, cancel the order. So that order cancellation has to be processed timely. The solution is it has to be done accurately. Order entry data are not transferred completely and accurately to shipping and invoicing activity. Again, please understand. Fourth point is for those entities which have non-integrated system. Non-integrated means where one aspect is not linked to other. There are semi-automatic or manual system. There, this issue arises. For integrated system, this issue is not going to arise because suppose my export office is in Mundra port. My head office is in, say, Mumbai. So I collect order in Mumbai and export from Mundra port. So I don't send my order physically to Mundra port. It's a system link process. So it's already interlinked, but there is a possibility that an entity may be there. Or for example, I have my main head office in Mumbai, say Andheri, and my dispatch godown is say in Borivali. So I get an order from customer here, and then dispatch, I have to send it to the warehouse. So I have to send physically my dispatch copy to warehouse so that the quantity is dispatched. So there is a mismatch in that. Then fourth point comes. So this is basically fourth relates to a non-integrated system, just for your understanding. So if you have a system that is probably non-integrated, then you need to ensure the accuracy. So all shipping to be done today, whether the shipping has been properly done, there has to be someone who is going to recheck at the end of the day. Then all orders not received, again, customer order and sales process. So you say what you call a CRM software, we are going to talk about probably in chapter 2 and 3, customer relationship management or sales order processing software, which accepts the order from customer and processes. So again, this point is where these two are not integrated. There is a chance, like you said, that you can give orders in multiple form, multiple ways. So there is a chance that the way the order is being received and the way order is going to be processed, the systems are not linked together. Then this error can come. Okay. So you need to ensure all orders received are processed in system. Invalid, unauthorized orders are input and processed. It's a fraud. So look for that aspect. Invoices are generated using unauthorized items and for terms and prices. Again, fraud. Look from fraud angle also. Invoices are not accurately calculated and recorded. Again, this can be error as well as fraud. So we have to see whether calculations are done properly or not. Credit notes and adjustment to account receivable are not accurately calculated and recorded. Again, understand. Uh, s- Please understand, when you say today credit note, in your mind, heart, calculate debit notes also. In the previous chart also, when it said credit note, don't please put yourself only in credit note. In the bracket said debit notes also. Both transactions are possible. They have become very important because under GST regime, credit notes and debit notes are also source of GST debits and credits. You can take ITC and give ITC based on that. So now wherever you need read credit notes, in the bracket also say debit notes. Okay. And adjustments to AR are not accurately calculated, recorded. Again, this can be fraud and error. They have to be accurately recorded. Goods shipped are not invoiced. Again, it's this error is basically for non-integrated systems. This error is also indicator of fraud, that you send a goods and don't invoice. In a non-integrated system, the possibility of this fraud is very high because the person who is dispatching can hide that dispatch. Bill is not generated. In an integrated system, this issue does not arise. So the related risk of this is higher in non-integrated system. So that much more effort has to be put. Then credit notes for all goods returned and adjustment to account receivable are not issued in accordance with organization policy. You have to see whether, yes, again, see, now because you are under GST, there's a time frame. I think just see uh, what is the time frame where you can get GST reversal for goods return. So everything has to be multiplied by that statutory parameter now, whether it is as per that policy or not. Then invoices raised for invalid shipment, a fraud. Credit notes to fraud and clerical. So you have to recheck. Credit notes do not pertain to a return of goods or other valid adjustment. Again, indicative of some error, some fraud. Invoices are not recorded in system. See, please understand, today the way systems are, this is a virtual impossibility, but still take it as it is. There is a chance that someone is using a system where physical invoice is made, which has to be recorded in system. Sometimes it happens, even if it happens at different period of time also, like I have got an integrated system, but my sales location is at a different place. At that sales location, sometimes say electricity is not there. So my staff is forced to generate a manual invoice. So that invoice has to be recorded in system. So these are basically for non-integrated systems or some exceptions that may arise when I am not able to generate invoice from my integrated system. So they have to be recorded properly. Credit notes recorded to be recorded properly in system. Invoices, again, wrong period accounting, you have already said. Cutoff procedure, credit note, wrong period accounting. Cash receipt not recorded in period in which they are received. So again, it's a cutoff related issue. Cash receipt data not entered correctly. Fraud error. All things are possible. Cash receipts not entered. It's a fraud. Cash receipt data not valid and not entered in system for processing more than once. So multiple cash receipts not properly entered. Again, indicative of fraud error. Cash discounts are not accurately calculated, recorded. Again, indicator of fraud. Collections of AR is delayed, not properly monitored. Clerical, there has to be someone who is going to check it. And system accesses authorizations. Okay. Then I talked about some questions. Let us read. Okay, good. So on the first two, we had on this, orders are processed exceeding credit limits and orders not approved. So I'm reading those. Orders are processed without approval. Yeah. If software provides wrong information, yes. So when it is, because if software will provide wrong information when wrong information has been fed into it. Okay, good. So credit limit is 1 lakh and someone has fraudulently made it 2 lakhs. So someone said fraud, yes. Access to unauthorized person, yes. Problematic dispute with customer, yes. Flaws in accounting, great. No SOD, no segregation. Please remember this word, SOD, segregation of duty. It comes from chapter 1 till chapter 5. Carried this word. Yes, Anand. When the total order value exceed customer credit limit threshold, system should block. Very good. This e-chocolate goes to Anand. So there has to be a mechanism of budgeting, controlling that credit amount that you can make due on a customer. Fraud, collusion, invoices not recorded. Fantastic. So orders are processed exceeding customer credit limit without approval, indicative of fraud. Someone has done it. Orders are not approved by management at prices and terms of sale. Very important. Then the point that I wanted all of you to dig into was that this basically is that there is no system based approval of it. So that you're looking at a non-integrated system. Had this been an integrated system, all approvals would be system driven. So it's not happening here. That gap is there. Okay, good. Let me just refresh. Okay, so all are there. Great. So these are long tables. Remembrance is going to be slightly tough. Find some way, like the master tables for P2P and O2C, we found that they are generally parallel. The difference is use of vendor and supplier, vendor and customer. Then inventory cycle, risk and control. A very good discussion. Believe me, once you become chartered accountants, you get into practice or go into service. And those of you who go into service, if you go in manufacturing concern, this is one of the things that you are going to put a lot of your heart and mind into, inventory cycle. Phenomenal updates are there in this one. And this is probably one of the most important topic to understand and learn. Okay. So inventory cycle is a process of accurately tracking the on-hand inventory levels for an enterprise. An inventory system should maintain accurate record of all stock movements to calculate the correct balance of inventory. The term inventory cycle means different things to companies in different verticals. For those who source, assemble, create inventory, it refers to time-based process, which is basic to understanding how to maximize resource and cash flow with proper inventory management. Please understand, entities save a lot of money by improving their inventory management. To businesses that buy, store, sell inventory, it focuses on process of understanding, planning, and managing inventory levels from purchasing through more efficient auditing. The typical phase of inventory cycle for manufacturer would be, yes, the ordering phase, production phase, the finished goods, and delivery phase. So that is how you look to this. Now coming to inventory masters and transaction. So same, invalid changes to inventory management that we talked about, the levels of inventory, the reorder levels, the maximum, minimum level. Now, see, please understand why this is so important. We talked about a risk in procure to pay, that item not needed ordered. Now, they don't do it there. They do it here. That fraud is not committed in purchase. That fraud is committed in inventory. You know what I'll do? Suppose I want to do this fraud. I am one of the purchase managers in a company and I am colluding with a vendor and we want to do a fraud purchase in the company. You know what I do? I go to inventory master and change the reorder level. So suppose the reorder level is say 50,000 units. I reduce it to 25,000 units. What will happen? Reorder level is a calculated figure. In costing, we have read it. So when I make it 20,000, 25,000, as soon as the inventory level of my entity hits 25,000, it will generate a purchase requisition. I'll process because I'm the purchase manager. I've made an unauthorized change in my inventory master. So please understand, because today the whole scenario is integrated system. So fraud that you read in procure to pay is not a fraud that is being created there. Probably in an integrated system, the fraud is going to be created here. I'll reduce the reorder level. Done away with that. So that is very, very important. This understanding is important. The way this interlinking is going to work. Okay. Then invalid changes to inventory management master file are input and process. We have talked about this. Changes to inventory management master file not accurate again. Changes to inventory master could be what? There could be change in my maximum minimum reorder level. There could be change in the taxation part. Suppose government changes the applicable GST on the item. So then I need to update my inventory. I need to update the levels based on my production process may be redefined. That may change my levels of inventory. Suppose, okay, let me ask you this question. Till today, I have been buying my inventory from vendor A. Okay. Till today, I am buying an item of inventory from vendor A. From tomorrow, I'll buy that item from another vendor B. Okay. Vendor A is in a different city and vendor B is in a different city. Vendor A city is say 100 kilometers from my factory and vendor B is say 50 kilometers from my factory. So I've got a vendor which is nearer to me. Does this affect my reorder level? Physical location of my vendor A and B, the distance, does it affect my reorder level? You have to say yes, no. So these changes have to be made properly in system. Okay, so changes to be made. Whatever changes have been made, they need to be properly processed and system has to be made up to date. So again, if you look to the master configuration data for procure to pay, order to cash and inventory, the keywords, the key parameters remain the same. The description, in first case, it is vendor, second case, customer, and third case, inventory. Just so making it more easier for you to remember. Then transaction. Adjustment to inventory prices and quantities not recorded accurately, clerical, indicative of fraud, must do properly, raw materials received, accepted without valid. Oh, this is an impossibility. You know what is, now see, please understand what is this. You are receiving raw material without a purchase order. Now let us just dwell, go deep into this query. Okay. So when it is going to happen in purchase to pay, you read a query that purchase orders are not entered. Now just see what has happened. The purchase order generated has been sent to vendor, but not entered in system. So because the purchase order has been received by the vendor, he is going to supply. Now, as soon as you receive the supply, you are not, because the stores person is not able to see the purchase order in system, the query arises. Just read the query. Raw material received and accepted without valid purchase order. Because the description of query is in nature of fraud, but if you read it ethically by the legal or grammatical understanding of it, it also indicates that this may not be necessarily a fraud. This may be a clerical mistake in purchase to pay. There, because the purchase order generated was not entered, this error came. So this understanding of the operationalities of system, how they're interlinked, is very important. So you do error there, that is reflected here. First case, it was reverse. Okay. Error here was reflected in purchase. Their error of purchase is reflected in inventory. So this happens because systems are integrated. That is. Solution, we only have raw material acceptance with proper purchase order in system. Okay. Raw material not received are not recorded accurately. Now you have to tell me. Okay, I read the 3-1. Okay. Third and fourth. Then you tell me the impact. Raw material received are not recorded accurately. Third one. Raw material received are not recorded in system. So inaccurate recording and non-recording. Again, multiply by professional skepticism and tell me what is going to be the impact of this if you don't record raw material properly or you don't just record raw material. Okay, let us see. Clerical, they have to be properly recorded. Then fifth one, receipt of raw material not promptly recorded. So raw material that is received today is recorded in system 10 years, 10 days, not 10 years, sorry, 10 days after the receipt. So in fact, third, fourth and fifth, they basically will link you to the deep trouble. Multiply by professional skepticism. You have to tell me the impact of third, fourth and fifth point. Then sixth is more clerical, mechanical, defective raw material need to be timely returned, transfer. Now, if you are returning a raw material to the vendor, so because you are returning, you know what, you generate a debit note. See in the chart, I told you, in the table, it is credit note. Please update that. Write in the bracket, including debit note. Here is an example. When you return a raw material to your vendor, you generate a debit note to the vendor. So credit note includes debit note. To be very clear, make a bracket, write debit note. Because in GST regime, they are very, very, very important. Then, transfer of raw material to production not recorded accurately and not in appropriate period. This I consider again as a disaster for non-integrated system. This is a possibility because even with integration, there are many entities today whose production process is not integrated to their whole systems or it's manually driven. The issues are manual. There, the error is very high. In fact, this leads to lot and lot of trouble. Just understand the impact. If you are not recording the items issued to the production, then your consumption is not proper. Your tracking of inventory is not proper. So it creates a huge trouble. Direct, indirect expenses associated with production are not recorded accurately. Your costing will go wrong. Accounting standard to valuation of inventory, direct costing. So when you are not recording the expenditure correctly, your cost of the material goes incorrect. And if your cost goes incorrect, your calculation for sale price goes incorrect. Probably you think you're generating profit, but because this expenditure are not accounted for as a part of cost, you may be selling at loss. Then transfer of completed units of production to a finished goods inventory are not recorded completely and accurately and posted in an inappropriate period. It's an accounting disaster. It has to be done very thoroughly. Then finished goods returned by customers are not recorded completely. Now again, this one. So when customer is returning finished goods to you, you are going to give a credit note to the customer. The customer will raise a debit note against you. So in the O2 cycle, the order to cash cycle, where we were talking about customer, there was a point about credit note, add debit note in bracket. Okay. Then finished goods received from production are not recorded completely, accurately, and posted in an appropriate period. Again, cutoff procedures, more specifically for non-integrated systems. Then shipments are not recorded in system. We have talked about this. That dispatch is there. It is not integrated to invoicing. It's a huge disaster. Shipments are not recorded accurately. So not recording and inaccurate recording. So two different kind of errors. Not recording promptly. So delayed invoicing. That is important. In fact, on point number 3, this one. What further you can say? Multiply. Pure accounting issue. Multiply and tell what further wrong can be there. Shipments are not recorded promptly and are in inappropriate period. Please say. Then inventory is reduced when goods are not shipped and made based on an approved customer order. Please understand that because your shipments are not being recorded properly. So what it means that whether the item exists in inventory or not, that is not trackable. It is not traceable. Based on that wrong data, you take a wrong decision. Very, very critical. Then cost of shipped inventory are not transferred from inventory to cost of sale. It's basically accounting issue. This happens when non-integrated systems are there. Cost of shipped inventory are not accurately recorded. Same issue. Amount posted to cost of sale does not represent those associated with ship inventory. So that means your closing stock valuation is going to take a hit. Please understand, when you say cost of sale, you are looking at the closing stock valuation also. Cost of shipped inventory are not transferred from inventory to cost of sale promptly, not done in appropriate period. System access has to be restricted. Okay. So let us read a big discussion. Let us see the answers you have given. Fraud, collusion, no data, EOQ. Neha, you have to ask your question to institute. I'll not the right person to answer it. Then Alok, invalid changes. Yes. If reorder level, then how fraud? Jyoti, let me do it. It's a very good discussion. Please understand. So this basically requires understanding of what is reorder level. So reorder level is a predefined level in inventory masters, which keep a tag of the level of inventory that is available. Why it is predefined? So that as you consume your inventory in production, the inventory level goes down. Suppose my reorder level is this. My inventory is here. It is going down, and as soon as it comes to my reorder level, there is an auto trigger in system, business process automation. This auto trigger tells the purchase manager that this item of inventory has reached the reorder level. So that becomes a auto system generated stores indent or purchase requisition. Now, because the purchase requisition has been generated from system, the purchase manager goes ahead for purchasing it. So the purchase manager, she may call for vendor quotations, comparative, or suppose there is a pre-designated vendor for this item, he or she, the purchase manager will place an order. What quantity? Economic order quantity or reorder quantity. Now, if the understanding of reorder level is clear, let us see how this can be, if unauthorized adjustment to reorder level can be used to create a fraud. Okay. Now understand again. This is my original reorder level at 10,000 units. What it means that as soon as my inventory level will reduce to 10,000 units, I'll generate a purchase order. Now, what I have done, I have I am changing this reorder level. That is, suppose the reorder level is 10,000 and I make it as say 20,000. So what it means that ideally I had to place order when the inventory level was 10,000, but now I'll place an order even when I have 20,000. So what I have done, I have changed the reorder level. I don't need this item to be purchased till I can further consume 10,000. But what I've done, I've increased that reorder level. So if I'm starting with 30,000, 10,000 consume, I'll hit reorder level. If I was having 30,000 inventory, after 20,000 consumption, I'll hit reorder. But because I have inappropriately modified, I hit as soon as from 30, I come to 20, my system generates a purchase order. So that way I can create a fraud. Okay. Yes, Vinay, time, very good. So reorder level is going to change. Yes, very good. So I think Dhanesh and Vinay, and I think most of you have said correctly. Okay. So it has to have an impact. Missing affects the profit will degrade. Inaccurate calculation. Raw material may be sold in black with a yes. Cannot claim ITC. Yes. So loss financial statement will be inaccurate. Closing stock will be wrong. Yes. Very good. Yes, Piyush. Yeah. So that is on inventory. Then, so I think we are at the time of taking a break. So it's 1927. Let us take the break. Few critical flowcharts that I wanted to talk about in detail we have done. Others will do in a fast mode. So let us have a break for 10 minutes. We'll rejoin at 19.37. So let me just share the screen. We are here. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, this is last session for chapter 1. Then generally, Garvit, 6 marks oblique 8 marks for flowchart generally in exam. Okay. Then there's a query by Molly. I'll answer that as we come at the closure of the chapter. Yeah. Let me just refresh. Okay. Now, so the key aspects that we wanted to talk about are done. This next is human resource risk and control. So I'm directly going to the table for that. So first one is very, very critical human resource risk. The employee who have left, they have access to the system. So this is a huge risk. In fact, with so much understanding of systems, so much understanding of risk and fraud, this risk is still there. So what you must ensure system access to immediately removed for employees who have left the company. In fact, now, okay, let me put it to you. Risk you have read. So an employee who leaves, because today is online, everything is online. You can access company information. You need not be physically present in the company premise to access the data of the company. So suppose an employee leaves and this risk is there. How companies can compensate this risk? Employee accessing system. Give your thought. The solution is given that immediately remove the access. Okay, that is one way of doing it. But still, immediate removing is someone has to do it. Someone has to remember it. Can you talk about a system-driven process where person once he or she is out of the company, he or she is not able to access that system? Okay. Then second is again a big risk. Now, someone did talk about risk to configuration. So this is a configuration risk. Master, this user access was part of configuration. Employee have access more than their rights. Yes. Yes. So yes, password has to be immediately removed, cancelled, change password. And you can, you have been going to bank. Have you seen the way banking system has been changed? All employees in bank have what you call as a biometric access. So you can create a biometric access mechanism. So then it again restricts. Yes. No, Alok, you need not wait for their payments. You restrict it today. Once you inform an employee that you are going to be fired or the last day of employment comes, then immediate password disablement. Okay. So that was configuration. Then masters. Now I'm not taking this masters in detail. Additions, new employee, terminated employees. So I'll request you to go through this. Ask questions if you come across. Okay. Then fixed asset risk and controls. I'll read the issues. Fixed asset process ensures that all fixed assets of enterprise are tracked for purpose of financial accounting, preventive maintenance, and theft deterrence. Fixed asset process ensures that all fixed assets are tracked and fixed asset record maintains details of location, quantity, condition, and maintenance. That includes procurement, registration, adjusting the assets, transferring the asset, depreciating and disposing the asset. In fact, Caro first point is about fixed assets only. So this has a statutory implication also and accounting implication also. So you have risk at master level, invalid changes. Same, if you read this one and P2P, O2C inventory, they run parallelly. Okay. So master level configuration and transaction level. I'll read transaction level. Fixed assets, acquisition not accurately recorded, acquisition not recorded in appropriate, cutoff procedure, depreciation, Both are going to be hit. Assets just not recorded, chance of defalcation will be there. Depreciation charge incorrect. P&L will be incorrect. Not recorded in appropriate period. Profit and loss will not be true. Disposals not recorded. All implications will be there. So this I want you to go through. AS10, good. Then general ledger, risk and controls. The issues in general ledger are the way you are entering financial transaction into system, reviewing transaction, approving, posting, generating financial reports. So all these aspects need to be covered. Again, this I'll read. This is important. Unauthorized GL entries could be passed. System functionality does not exist to segregate posting approval. We have talked about maker and checker. Here, the person who parks the transaction and person who posts. Park means the creator. So creator and approver, they have to be two distinct persons, segregation of duties. Then interrelated balance sheets, income statement do not undergo changes. So they have to be. Non-standard journal entries are not tracked. Yes, this is very, very important. Those entries which are generally not passed through JVs, like cash payment, bank payment. You don't use a JV for them. You use cash payment voucher or a bank. So this become exception. Out of balance entries are not prohibited. Very important to keep a track. Enterprise-wise consolidation has to be done. Variance reports not generated. That is very critical. System controls not in place for write-offs. A proper approval has to be there. General entries for exceptional transactions amount that were posted in GL during the month are not flagged properly. Automated authorization timing periods not appropriate. Standard recurring period and journal entries not properly submitted. So these are issues that you want to look at in GL, general ledgers. Then master related issues, GL master file change reports are not generated. So we have talked about that. Any changes for all tables which have master changes, we have said a line we will be adding that all changes in masters have to be rechecked from substantiating evidences. That is. Then transaction that I'm leaving for you to read. Okay. Now coming to the part that we wanted to talk about is flow charting. Okay. So first we'll take the other two flow charts. Okay. Okay. So I'll bring the solutions. Now in this flow chart, so some new symbol has come. So we'll see that is the most important symbol. So this Dhanesh's idea was great. I'll send it to Institute to upload. So please, once they are uploaded, please compare with your solution. Let us discuss this. Okay, this is very important. So start symbol we have talked about. Then we have this clear all working locations. So that is any pre-decided value that is there. Then read. So it is reading ABC. What is the objective? To identify the highest number from given number. Okay. So first read ABC. Now this rhombus, this is what you call as a decision symbol. So what is going to happen? The rhombus is going to have one input, and because a decision has to be talked about, it's a decision symbol. Whatever is a condition that is defined in rhombus, it will have two possibilities, either yes or no. Okay. So let us do it the way it is written. Now, those of you who sometimes feel that flowchart is sometimes it becomes tough to understand. So what I'm basically I'm making it easy for you. So what you can do, whatever I say, write it in English single sentence. Okay, right. As I say. Okay. So that will allow you to understand what exactly is flowchart doing. So when we talk about flowchart, yes, Dhanesh, coming to that exactly. So when you talk about flowchart, it's a diagrammatic representation. So means there's something that exists which is being diagrammatically represented. So we'll talk about it. Okay. So start symbol is clear, always there. Rectangle is for a process. So whenever you are asking computer to do something, that is a process. Rectangle, a process. Don't look to the size of the rectangle. If it appears as a rectangle, it's a process. Okay. It's a command that is being done. Clear all working version. Read ABC. Now, when you want to identify, you want to make a selection between two options, then you use decision symbol. So let us, oh no, sorry. Just give me a second. Okay. Yeah. So I was just thinking adding. Okay. Now read ABC. Suppose A, B, C have values 10, 20, and 30. Suppose ABC have values 10, 20, and 30. So see what happens here. You are comparing A to B. Our values are 10, 20, and 30. System has read. You want to identify which is highest. So the result has to be highest. So is A greater than B? Is 10 greater than 20? What is the answer? No. So this decision, what it does, it validates a condition and gives a instruction that no. So now these arrows are very important. Danish talked about, so these arrows and the arrowhead, they denote the data flow. Please understand, in exam, when you make a flow chart, this arrowhead tells that data is coming from here to here, here to here, then from read to A to B. So this arrowhead are very important. So is A greater than B? Our values are 10, 20, and 30. The answer is no. So this tells you move to this direction. Now you are getting into a second condition because you have to compare three. So you need to compare the other two values also. So if A is not greater than B, 10 is not greater than B, that means the result is no, go here. Now you compare B to C. Is 20 greater than C? Is 20 greater than C? 20 greater than 30? Again, the answer is no. See, the result is highest is C, 30. I get a solution. That is my C is highest. Again, when I'm using highest now, so if you have just written in words only, single lines, first start, clear all working locations, read ABC, create a bracket, write 10, 20, 30. Then first what you did, compared A to B. Is A greater than B? The result is no. Then compare B to C. Is B greater than C? Result is no. That means A is also greater than C. So C becomes highest. Nice. So you have concluded that C is highest. Now, let us change value. Okay. I am making it 30, 20, 10. 30, 20, 10. First, is A greater than B? Yes. So because we have to find out of three which is greater. So in first instance, A is greater. That means now if the answer is yes, so A is greater based on this. So you need to compare A to whom? C. अब A को किससे compare करना है? C से करना है. Is A greater than C? Is 30 greater than 10? Again, the answer is yes. That means which is greatest? A is greatest. That is. Okay. So this is how this flowcharts flow. Okay. Let us take another set of value. 20, 30, 10. A is 20, B is 30, C is 10. Let us do. A is 20, B is 30. Is A greater than B? No. 20, 30. B is greater. That means of the two B, now you need to compare B to C. So B is 30. Is B greater than C? Yes. That means B was greater than A in first decision. It is greater than C in second. So which becomes highest? B becomes highest. N. So that is how you create. So see, if you look to flowchart, it's a diagrammatic representation of a process. What is the key components, the key ingredients? So Dhanesh asked the correct question, which symbol to use when? So I'm doing it again. Start is a oval always at the start. All processes are rectangles. If a comparison, a result has to be drawn between two given condition, that is called as decision, you use rhombus. And print we saw in the first flowchart. That is how you look at flowcharts. Then I have created another one. So we wanted to print. In the first, if you see the flowchart, this is important. Identify the highest. Okay. If you read the question. So we have identified the highest. So highest is B, C or A, as the case may be. Here our question is print the highest. So see what difference it makes. It calculates and then print. So print symbol is a different symbol. It's like a flow. So print and then end. So that is how you prepare flowcharts. The best way is that whatever question comes, first draw the logical inference, how you are going to process. Write in lines, create a draft process, and then start making flowchart. That is how it has to look like. So Kujema has a good point, which is higher, harder. Inter harder, foundation is harder, or final is harder. Good. Thank you. Good. Okay. So that is flowchart number 2. Then I'll send it to the institute. They will upload for all of us. Yeah. So let us look to the third solution. Just give me a second to bring that third one. So my idea of creating these 3 flowcharts was that these take care of all the critical components of flowchart per se. There could be more. It's a big topic to talk about. Okay. So we wanted to save on this one, and that is why we are looking at this. Now, the third question was add first 25 numbers and print the result. So this, whenever such question comes, it asks you to add some numbers. This is basically what we call as a question that is talking about count. So your count. So you need to have what you call as a counter. So this third is basically helping you create a concept of counter, doing something multiple times, iterative, doing it again. So how many times it has to be done? 25 times. So whenever such question comes, the parameter of the questions will be 10, first 10 even numbers, first 10 odd numbers, like that. So first 10 numbers divisible by 7, like that. So then there has to be a counter created. So let us read that. What is the question? First 25 even numbers. Okay. So start. Clear all working locations. Now, because the question is first 25 even number, so I create a variable which has value 2, the first even number. Okay. Then, because I have to do it 25 times, I create a C that represents my counter. C क्या बता रहा है? काउंटर कितनी बार करना है. तो मैं क्या करूंगा? जोड़ता चला जाऊंगा. कब तक? जब तक C 25 हो जाता नहीं, क्योंकि 25 बार जोड़ना है. So I need to count 25 times. So N is 2, C is 1. Then I have created a accumulated variable that I call as sum. Now, suppose I ask you, see, I have given value N2, C is 1. I have not defined value of sum. It's a variable. Can you guess what possible value sum has. Okay, so to make it easy and fast, because I said clear all working locations. We talked about it yesterday also, day before. So clear working or in the opening flowchart today. So clear all working location means whatever value any variable has, system has to be made zero. So if I don't define a value after CAWL, system takes value of sum as zero. So when I'm starting, the value of sum is zero. Okay. So I'm adding 0 to 2. So now value of sum is 2. Now I'm running the counter. This is the most important part. Is C25? No. C is 1. No. So what I do, I increase value of C2 by 1. So now my C is 2 and increase value of N by 2. So now my N is 4. And from here, see this arrow, it says go up. Again, add sum to N. Now, what was the value of sum? 2. What is the value of N? 4. So now I am adding 2 to 4. So now new value of sum is 6. Is C 25? No, it is not 25. Increase it to 3 and then continue like this. So for sake of ease, let us talk about, say, sorry, just a moment. I'll bring it in. Just give me a second. Okay. So if suppose the condition was that add first 3 even numbers, first 3 only even numbers. So my counter will be 3. Now let us do it. So I'm adding only first 3 even numbers. So N is 2, C is 1, sum N plus sum plus N. So sum is 0, N is 2. So sum is 2. Is C 3? No. Now C is 2. N is N plus 2, 4. It goes up. Sum is 2, N is 4. So now sum is 6. Is C 3? No. C plus 1. Now C is 2. No, now C is 3. N is N plus 2. So N was 4. Now 2, 6. So 6 goes up. Sum is 6 plus 6, 12. Sum is 6. Sum is now 12. N is C 3? Yes. Yes. Print sum 12. So sum of first 3 even number is 12. Let us do without flowchart. First even number is 2. Second is 4. Third is 6. 2 plus 4 plus 6 is 12. So what you are doing is what we call as dry run of the flowchart, checking whether my flowchart is working correctly or not. That is so 3 basic flowchart that help us learn decision, and the third flowchart that combines decision with a what I call as a counter. Just do it. Yeah. Now, yes. Now, one of the important issues is that is flowchart required to look like the one that is in the module? To me, no. Your flowchart it is like pure mathematics. Like in maths, 2 plus 2 is 4. 2 into 2 is 4. 2 to the power 2 is also 4. So it's pure mathematics. The result has to be correct. The only thing is flowchart has to be logically built. It must be logically correct. So to ensure that in your examination, when you make a flowchart, give a dry run of logical flow in simple 4 line, 8 lines, explain that. And one of the few things that you must do, define the intent, like N. N is my first even number. C is my counter. Sum is my accumulated total. So define your variables, the purpose they are serving below the flowchart. Then coming to the next question, that is, suppose 8 marks question comes and all of you make correct flowchart. Few of you uses say 3 decision symbol, someone uses 4 decision symbol. So there is a concept of quality parameter to the flowchart. Please understand, decision symbol, the rhombus, adds a lot of programming So the flowchart which has least number of decision and generates the correct logical values, that is going to get an extra weightage. So even if logically your flowchart may be correct, but if the quality parameter in terms of, say, decision is a good example, decision symbol, then you may lose a mark on that. But beyond that, you make flowchart based on your understanding. It has to be logically correct. Yeah, so this is a good way of making it. You can create your own ways based on the question given to you. Generally, Piyush, what I understand, 6-8. Generally, it comes as a 6-8 marks question. Now, Jesh, no, I'll see. Please understand. Jesh has put a very important point. What he has done, he has used a formula of AP, arithmetic progression. Please understand when the question in exam will be like add first 30 odd numbers or even numbers, then they expect you to use the count one. Okay, if I made it clear, they don't expect you to do a formula calculation because it's a learning process. So that expectation is there. Okay. Now, to the second flowchart, or sorry, the last flowchart, where we added 25 even numbers. Suppose I change it. I say you add first 25 odd numbers. I'm changing it. You add first 25 odd numbers. What change you will need to make? क्या change करना पड़ेगा? What change you are going to make in the flowchart? Which variable you are going to change and what it shall be? Okay. I think the question is clear. I'm changing it to adding first 25 odd numbers. In the chat, give what change you are going to make in that flowchart. Then this we have talked about diagrammatic representation of business processes. Okay. So let us go ahead. Then regulatory compliance, all this we are going to do from the module. So I'll bring the module again. Good. So N1, very good. So Garvit, Dhyanesh, Pranav, you only need to change value of N and make it 1. I mark that I am starting with even numbers. My first even number was 2. So, don't change C because C is 25. The number of odd numbers you are going to add is 25. So I have not said that. I have only said 25 odd numbers. So only value of N will be changed to 1. Good. You can use, but if it creates confusion, avoid. No, first number is 1. So N will be 1. Pranav, I am clear. Huh? Please listen to it carefully. N is 1. Anand, that is going to be a very different question. It is about this, the way number series is designated like that. Okay. So now let us go to the module. So last part of the lecture, that is regulatory compliance. So Geet has put a genuine query that if I take N as 1, so Geet, if N is 1, okay. So next time you are going to increase N by 2. So N plus 2 is 3. That is the point, Geet. So of course, it's a learning process. I am adding 2 to N every time. So when my start number is 1, my second number will be 3, not 2. Okay. So that is okay. So let us start with this regulatory and compliance requirements. Now, see, during the discussion we had, we already talked about this. Like just we had about. So I told you that GST has become a mandate. So whatever we do, the statutory compliance issue is one thing that we must all look for, adhere to. So it's very, very, very important. So in that master configuration, we talked about GST, in credit note, debit note. So this compliance has become a big issue. The example we took on day one, business process automation, the apps people are developing. So in BPA also, if you read point number 2, 3, they talk about whether that whatever automation you are doing, whether that is statutorily or regulatorily proper. So it is very important aspect. So whatever technology we do, it has to be in compliance with applicable regulations. So let us start reading it. So in the module also, important issues, important sections are highlighted. We are not going to read them A to Z, but indicate exactly the intent, what they want to say. All these sections which you are reading, you have already read as a part of your company law, economic law, business law part. So there is nothing new per se here. So two important sections, the 134 and 143. Section 134 of the Companies Act on Financial Statements, board reports state that it is director's responsibility statement. Now what I'll do, I'll highlight. Directors have, if you read, in fact, one habit I want all of you to do. So because you are in inter and then you are going to pass your exam and go in final. So here itself, you start reading balance sheet of listed companies. Make it a good habit of reading balance sheet of listed companies. We are all online. You can download those balance sheets. They are available online. Start reading them. Make a habit of reading the balance sheet. See, if you start reading the balance sheets, your understanding of accounting, auditing standard, law is going to improve phenomenally. So take it as a something that is going to add value to your learning process at a phenomenal level. Start reading balance sheet of listed companies. Earlier, the better. Let us do it from today itself. That is. In that balance sheet, when you start reading, you will find this separate document is there. That is called as Director's Responsibility Statement. It is signed by the Board of Directors and they sign and they say, like you have read in those of you have read audit or you are going for audit as articles, that it is responsibility of the management to implement proper internal control. It is responsibility of the management to ensure compliance with accounting standard. What is auditor's job is to see whether controls implemented are working properly or not. So must do. Alok, start reading it. Yes. It's like consider listed company balance sheet as part of your syllabus. So don't create an option. Read it. And you know, many big companies, they are all listed. Banks are there, manufacturing companies are there, service companies are there, software companies are there. So make a selection. And when I say read listed companies balance sheet, I don't mean one. I mean at least 5. One in each sector. So manufacturing, banking, service, telecom, shipping, or you can make a selection. So please do it. It is going electricity companies. You have like you can do is whatever is part of your accounting, like bank is part of your accounting, electricity is part of your accounting, insurance is part of your accounting. Start reading those balance sheets. It will create a fundamental understanding. Okay. Then directors had what is a statement saying? I'm just reading this. Directors had taken proper sufficient care for maintenance of adequate accounting records and in accordance with companies provisions of the act for safeguarding assets and for preventing, detecting fraud and other irregularities. Now, please understand, when we talked about this master configuration, I told you that is fraud and I told you that it's a system issue and integration issue is there, that all those responsibility lie with whom? Director. SA 260, 265. Communicating with those charged with governance and deficiencies of internal control. Very important. So it is part of the law. So because now what is happening, lot of integration is there, systems are implemented, decisions are system driven. So to ensure that the system work correctly becomes responsibility of whom? Director. That is what this section has become very, very, very important. Okay. The director in case of listed company has laid down internal financial control to be followed by the company, and that such internal financial controls are adequate and were operating properly. You see, so many examples that risk. Now you get the intensity of the risk parameter, master risk, risk at master level, risk at transaction level, and in some table risk of configuration. Please understand. So if that risk is there, it is directly affecting the director's responsibility statement. The impact is huge. That is. Then section 143, whether the company has now coming to auditor. So what auditor is doing? Checking whether the controls are proper. So implementation of control is responsibility of director. Checking whether they are working effectively, efficiently, and continuously effective and efficient is job of auditor. Whether the company has adequate internal financial control in place and are operating effectiveness. So if they are not in place, SA 260. If they are there and not operating effectively, SA 265, that is important. Okay. Then management is, so this I am not reading. Okay, this I leave to you. Auditor's responsibility, the institute guidance note is also there. Please go ahead with this. So these are the core things we are going to talk about. Now, this is very important. Point number 3, corporate governance requirement. Now, this has become a big topic, corporate governance. What exactly is corporate governance? So it is basically framework of rules and practices by which a board of director ensures accountability, fairness, transparency in a company's relationship with its stakeholders. So whatever you are doing is ethical, in compliance with law for all applicable stakeholders. That is called as corporate governance. The directors of a company are responsible to shareholders for their action and controlling the business of the company. Good corporate governance requires establishment of sound internal control practices, risk management, compliance with relevant laws and standards such as corporate disclosure requirements. This has to be part of the process. Now, why it is being discussed here? Please understand, the business and systems are so tightly integrated that whatever implementation management has to do, they have to do through system. So if system is not proper, these are all going to take a hit. That is why they are being discussed. They are not being discussed to enhance your knowledge. They are discussed here so that you get a feeling that all these are part of system now. Because just take it as example, compliance with, someone said listed companies are hit by required to comply Ind AS. Okay, that is part of your syllabus. It will be in final. Okay, so compliance has to be for all companies. Now, accounting standard 2, valuation of inventory. I am accounting through a ERP system, Tally. All accounting has to be in compliance with accounting standard. So it becomes responsibility of management. Internal control, management responsibility. The trouble is that now system and business are so tightly integrated that any management responsibility has to be implemented through system the company is using. That takes it that to that level, that corporate governance as a definition concept is ensuring everything is correct, and this correctness has to come into system. That is why this word is being taught to you, corporate governance. Okay. Then it consists of explicit, implicit contract between company stakeholders for distribution of responsibility, rights, rewards, procedure for reconciliation, proper supervision. That is first. So that is corporate governance. Then Information Technology Act, IT Act 2000, you can add as amended in 2008. Okay. Cyber crime. So now a lot of updates have been made. So cybercrime, you don't understand, you need not seek the word cybercrime in the act itself. What act defines? Crimes which are committed through technology, independent. Now, to do a theft, when computers were not there, it was physical, but now it is online. You can steal money without entering the bank. Okay, and hackers have been doing it. So now the list of offenses. Harassment via public notice on social networking. Yes, this is not allowed. You cannot do it. Section 67 debars that. Then email account hacking. Section 43, 66, 66A, 66C, 67, 67A, 67B of IT Act are applicable. Okay. Just remember them. Credit card fraud. So just remember the fraud and the sections which are applicable. Because we'll not be detailing the section that you have read in different location. Then website defacement, section 43, section 66, 66F and 67. Introducing worms, viruses, backdoors, rootkits, trojans, and bugs. These are types of malware, spyware. Section 43, section 66. Cyber terrorism, section 43, 66, 66A. Then online sale of illegal articles. That is, yes, where sale of narcotics, drugs, weapons, wildlife. Then this is again restricted. Cyber pornography, section 67, 67A and 67B of IT Act are applicable. Phishing and email scam. Phishing, you must have heard about that. Fraud, make-believe fraud. A fraud website is presented to you as a bank's true website and you share your passwords. Section 66, 66C, 66D. Theft of confidential information, 43, 66, 66B. So just keep a tag of the sections. Source code theft, 43, 65, 66, 66B of the Act. Then key provisions. There are a lot of definitions. I'm not reading these definitions. Please go through them. Access, computer, computer network. You need to remember. And you'll be reading at different location also. Information. This is important. Please remember this section word by word. Section 43, penalty and compensation. If any person without the permission of the owner or any other person who is in charge of a computer, computer system, computer network, and then what he or she may do, that is defined as computer crime. So please go through this. This section I want you to remember word by word. Cyber pornography will be pornography through internet. That is. Okay. And this word, this section 43, I want you to remember word by word, clause by clause. This is very, very important. Not here, but at the other economic law or wherever you have read it. Then, computer contaminant. Yes, this is important. Means any set of instructions that are designed to modify, destroy, record, transmit data or program residing within computer system or network by means to usurp, take away the right, the normal operation of the computer system or network. That is computer contaminant, like that. Then read these definitions, very, very important. And 43A. This is again very important. 43A is about that if you are a service provider and you have personal data about your clients, the security of their data becomes your responsibility. So 43 is a very, very important section. Like banks have data passwords of their customer, and suppose bank system is hacked and customer passwords are taken away and the hacker misuses customer password to do a withdraw money from customer account, the responsibility lies on the bank. Very, very important. Just keep a tag of this. Then I'm not reading these sections have been given. Please go through these sections which were elaborated up. They are direct sections, nothing to be added. Then this is important. Advantages of cyber law, that it offers a way to communicate grievance, to take action about the fraudsters and like that. Then privacy, yes, this is a growing topic. Data privacy, in fact, all across the world today, data privacy is one thing that everyone is talking about. So privacy of online data, very, very important. So how you create, how you ensure, and sensitive personal data information, reasonable security practices, procedures, and sensitive personal data or information rules under Section 43A define data protection framework for processing of digital data by any body corporate. So body corporate, please don't understand as company. Body corporate means any entity by per se like that. This is important. Read this thoroughly. Very, very, very important. Then this consent to collect, yes, any data that is being collected. In fact, that is why whenever you fill an online form, there's a consent you give that what you can do with that data. This has become a big, big issue. This privacy of data. There are good illustrations. Please go through that. They are in the module itself. Okay. So that is the syllabus part. Now we go to the MCQ. So let me start with the MCQ where we left on day 2 and then day 3 MCQ. First day 2 MCQ will do. Okay. So now you're answering. So this here we left. Bank details will be part of which masters? So what you'll do, you answer question 5 and ABCD. So let us go ahead. Okay, let me bring the solution one. Just give me a second. I'll just take a minute to come back. Okay. Sorry, it's just not able to bring that one up. So we'll do it verbally. So yeah. So B, vendor masters. Okay. Then question 6. Six, you have to say the worst case. Okay. Jyoti, A is also 6. A is a correct answer, but is it a worst case scenario? Yeah, C. Good. Very good. 7. So that is why I did not do this MCQ on our day 2 because this topics we discussed today. Okay. Yeah, C. Okay. So 7th, A. Yes. So who gets the chocolate? Uday and Pranav. Pranav. Yeah. A. Master creation. So that was day 2. Now allow me to bring the today's MCQ also. Just give me a point. Second. Now I'll request you to go through this case scenario, just 30 seconds or a minute. Just go through this. Read it. So it's a case-based MCQ. Okay. Now I'm reading and then we'll go to the questions. A grocery store, medical shops, and such stores have been able to survive lockdown, and in most cases, they have expanded their businesses. A grocery store owner is facing issue due to lockdown restriction. Store in the city can only be open for 4 hours on a single day in a week. Due to this, store owner is not able to attend all customers waiting at the store. Thus, owner decided to go for an online order booking app, and same was linked to payment gateway. All online order need to be prepaid. The app took a week to develop and implement, though through this app customers could place order 24/7 basis. Store owner pre-packed orders so received kept ready for delivery on the day store opened. Customers need to collect packages from the store. This resulted in increased business and better customer service. More and more customers are now placing online orders. The app has facility to add products and their prices. The orders once placed and paid cannot be cancelled by customers. So this is a case. Now let us look to the questions. So what I've done for sake, I've kept the whole case and bring the question on the right side of the screen. So now this is the question. Now you answer. So if you want to refer, the whole process is also given. So you can answer question 1, A, B, C, D like that. Okay, so now many of you have answered. Let us see. Operational process 1C. Great. Let us go to the next question. The whole case study will be on the left side and question will come on the right side. This has to be easy and fast. So I'll request all to write the question number and the option choice so that there is no confusion. Order to cash. Okay. Order to cash, Josh. Danish, order to cash. Okay. See, just to make it easy, order to cash relates to my customer. Purchase to procure, purchase to pay relates to my vendor. So this is my customer. Okay. Next. Take your time. No hurry. Okay, Josh. I realize that. Network issue. Don't worry. Okay, so we have okay, we have answer for three coming. Yes. Anand, you have to select one, the best one. See, all because it is multiple choice now, you have to select the best one. Yeah. Even if more than one appear appropriate. Okay. So C, 3C. So Garvit said it correctly. Great, Garvit. Let me refresh. Oh, many people have said. Okay, I'll read. Oh, you want me to read the question? That will be tough. Pranav, I'll read the next one. Okay. The next question is all except one are indicative factors that have triggered an increase in more customers to using app. Identify one factor means why more customers are using it. So all except one means all are factors except one. It's a D factor. Comfort, convenience, 24/7 availability, complexity. Ah, good. So we have because we have got the first answer, let me bring D, complexity. That is a negative factor, not relevant here. Sorry. Question 5, the answer is there. So please read. So my slide animation went incorrect. Please read it. So question 5 is arrange the following customer activities in sequential order. So first is open the app. Second is make the payment. Third is take delivery. Fourth is select products, then place order. So 1, 2, 3, 4, you have to make them in correct order. The answer has already come. So let me read the correct order. Open the app. Then fourth, select products, then place order. Second, make payment and then take delivery. Yeah. Sorry, I think some misplanning has got into this. Just read them, please. Let it be learning like that. Take as they were tough questions, answers have been given. Okay. So that is chapter 1. So we'll again meet for chapter 2 day after tomorrow. Keep your questions for chapter 1 at the start of 5 minutes we'll have, and then continue with chapter 2. So with just 30 seconds, if you have, we are already 20:38. So we have 30 seconds. Yeah, 6. 7 is not a question, Uday. Did we ask 7? No. Okay. So that is for today. We'll close it. I'm just giving 30 seconds for any query you have. Okay. So closing. Good night. Thank you. So we are closing. Bye.